the thing is, as I mentioned, there is a growing counter movement to the Quran and science movement. For example, if you go to Google, you will find a whole bunch of websites that have already been enlisted that are counteracting this claim, or at least trying to. You have non-Muslim, ex-Muslim bloggers that are actually going out of their way to talk about how Dr. Zakir Naik is inaccurate and how the Quran and science doesn't actually have a relationship, doesn't actually have a link. You've got websites such as this one right here that get 10,000 hits per month that are specifically dealing with this issue of Quran and science. Brothers and sisters, one of our most proficient dawah websites is onereason.org. Even that does not get 10,000 hits per month. But the website that is literally kind of attacking our dawah websites that doesn't get that kind of hits is getting more hits. Clearly, this is a problem, and it's a narrative. The counter narrative is increasing. You have pseudo-scientists, pseudo-academics rather, like this individual right here. He's one of many that actually invest their own money, their own time, their own efforts, their own studies in trying to counteract this claim. For example, this individual actually got in touch with some of the scientists that were mentioned in Sheikh Abdul Majid al-Zindani's documentary, This is the Truth, and he actually got them to admit that their statements were misrepresented and they were quote mined, and they don't actually believe the science is that the Quran is that coherent with science. You have the Wall Street Journal, which is a massive newspaper. You have newspapers like this that are addressing this issue. You have academic journals like Zygon that are talking about journals with regards to Bukhariism and trying to expose that narrative. And then, of course, you have papers such as Embryology in the Quran, Much Ado About Nothing, which is a refutation attempt at Ustad Hamza Tzortzis' Embryology in the Quran, a scientific linguistic analysis. Of course, many of you are probably familiar with that paper. Ustad Hamza, what he did was that he tried to show that the embryology, what we know about it from the Quran, is actually very much in consistency with what we know about embryology today. But again, like I said, he was not wrong in what he was saying, but the crooks and crannies in the nature of the argument that was presented, which I'm going to go through with you today, facilitated a scope for these skeptics, for these, people to come with their polemics and actually, kind of just try and find holes. And this paper specifically, there are people who actually left the religion as a result of reading this paper. Again, that is down to their lack of relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fact that their iman is based on just a paper. But subhanallah, nonetheless, it is a problem.
However, brothers and sisters, there is a growing counter movement. And there is a good sign in this, because it means that the work of Islamic apologists, the work of Islamic du'at, has been relatively successful in terms of the message being reached. And what you have as a result now is people thinking about the ideas that we've given them. Whether they're insincere or sincere is irrelevant to this discussion, but the point is they've been thinking about the evidence we've given them, and they've provided counter arguments. For example, if you type into Google, you have a whole range of counter arguments concerning science and the Quran. Not only that, brothers and sisters and friends, but you also have many Muslims leaving the religion, becoming ex-Muslims, because many of them, they relied heavily on the science and the Quran narrative to maintain the iman, to maintain the belief in their faith. And they participate in blogs and in forums, in fora rather, and they basically attack the main proponents of this movement and the ideas themselves. Not only that, brothers and sisters and friends, we have very popular blogs. For example, there is this blog, as you can see here, called Rational Islam Letters to a Muslim. This was actually just written as a result of this gentleman having a discussion with a Muslim, particularly on scientific miracles. And this blog gets over 10,000 unique hits a month, which is more than, I believe, most of the popular Islamic websites at the moment. And recently, you had an online atheist apologist. He actually contacted the scientists or the scholars that were told to attend Sheikh Az-Zindani's commission, and he asked them, what was attributed to you concerning Quran and science, and you're saying that the Quran is amazing because of its science, it predates science. Did you actually say those words? Did you mean them? Or were you quote mined and the context was removed? And most of the scientists actually said, yes, we were quote mined. Yes, we didn't mean what we said. Yes, we don't think there's anything special about the Quran. And it's a damning indictment, I think, to sometimes when Muslims, especially even ulama, we use our passion and it overcomes us, it overtakes us, and we forget about being nuanced and intellectually just and fair. So many people can consider this as an embarrassment. Now, obviously, we don't have to rely on the quotes of scientists, but the point I'm trying to say here is that since the 80s, we've been using these quotes, and yet they haven't been verified, and they've been shown to be false. Not only has it affected popular culture, brothers and sisters, but obviously we have the Wall Street Journal talking about this too. In a piece in 2002, there was a big title that said, Western scholars play key role in touting science of the Quran. And then it discusses how that is not the case. And also we have academic journals. If you see the Journal of Religion and Science, you have an academic who wrote Snakes from Staves, Science Scriptures and the Supernatural in Maurice Bucaille, and he quotes the term Bucaillism to describe the kind of movement that has been happening concerning the Quran and science. And we had other works that have been refuted or people have attempted to refute. So there's been a counter movement, brothers and sisters. And this is why we produce this webinar, because it is very important for us now to be intellectually just, to create a more better narrative, for us to understand where we've gone wrong and what can we fix. And also it is our duty for the next generation of du'at, of Islamic apologists, of people who want to provide a positive, compassionate and warm case for Islam and the Quran, that they have to now be more coherent. You can't just use old stuff thinking it's going to work, because especially in the West, since we've had this growing counter-narrative, unfortunately, and this is my personal experience alone as well, that many have left the religion because of this issue.